Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Chapter number 1, Measurement. Today we will discuss the exercise questions of chapter number 1, short answers. And you have to prepare all these short answers. Question number 1 is, name several repetitive phenomena occurring in nature which could serve as a reasonable time standards. Okay. Repetitive phenomena. What is repetitive phenomena? That repeat themselves after the equal interval of time are known as repetitive phenomena. So we use that repetitive phenomena as a time standard. For example, you have to name the 5 repetitive phenomena, okay, that repeat themselves after the equal interval of time. First one is rotation of earth around its own axis. As we know that earth rotate about its own axis and also rotate in around the sun, but also around its own axis. So earth completes its cycle after equal interval of time and repeat themselves itself again and again. So we can use it as a time standard. Second one is revolution of planets in the solar system. We know that there are 9 planets or 8 planets in the solar system, and they complete their time interval in equal interval of time, repeat themselves, okay. And the third is shadow of the object in the day and stars at the night, okay. Sometimes we know that at the time of the day the shadow will be big, or sometimes the shadow will be small when there are no clocks in the previous time, and then people use shadows to know the time. What is the time of is it the time of namaz zohar, or is it the time of namaz of asr? By the sizes of shadow, is the size of shadow is big or is the size of shadow is small. So we can use this as a time standard. The moon, or the motion of moon around the earth. Moon also rotates around the earth in equal interval of time in 28.5 days. After every 28.5 days, moon is come back to its own position at the same position. So we can also use it as a time standard. And the third word is, and the fifth one is quartz crystal vibrations. Okay. And this is an important question. Question number 1.2 is also important. Give the drawbacks to use the period of pendulum as a time standard. Okay, why we cannot, question is why we cannot use the time period of time pendulum as a time standard. What are its drawbacks? So we know that the formula for the period of time pendulum is T is equal to 2 pi under root L by G, and we know by the formula that time period depends on the value of L and value of G. Time period is directly proportional to the length and inversely proportional to the value of G. So it depends on the length and the value of G. So the length of the thread is changed, and the value of the G also changes from place to place. Like the value of G at the height is different and the value of G at the low height is different. But similarly the length is different at when the temperature changes. For example, when we have two pendulums, and I put one pendulum in the high temperature area and one pendulum at the low temperature area, then the length of the thread will changes because of the temperature. At the temperature of high temperature area, the length of the thread will increases, and at the area of the low temperature area, the length of the thread will shrink. So the value of length changes, so we cannot use it as a time standard. Next is, why do we find it useful to have the units of amount of substance, the kilogram and the mole? It is also an important question, that why we use the kilogram and mole, both these units, for the amount of substance, for measuring the amount of substance. So kilogram is used for the micro level and mole is used for macro level. For kilogram and mole is used for the micro level. Micro means small and macro means large. So when we go, for example, when we go to buy some fruits or vegetables, and we say that give 1 kilogram 1 kilogram of fruit, and give 1 kilogram of that vegetable, and we don't use the word mole, because it is used for the large amount of substance and mole is used for the small amount of substance. Next is question number 1.4. The students measure the length of the needle with the scale on which the minimum deviation means least count is 1 millimeter, and when we convert it into 0.001 millimeter converted into meter, then its value will be 0.001. So the length recorded by the student is 0.214